welcome to another episode of the A-List. Today I'm joined with Mr. Noah Dorsey, who wears a ton of different hats, like many of our other guests: cinematographer, producer, water boy, backscrubber. What in film don't you do?
Yeah, well, it's up to the job, I guess. Yeah.
Fair enough. So thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We met what feels like a really long time ago in the film community, but just chatting the other day, it hasn't even been a decade.
No, it's been like 4 or 5 years, maybe. Yeah.
That's wild. So was the first project in 2018 The Scarecrow?
Yeah, 100%.
And you said that was your first short film?
That's my first ever short film that I worked on. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What job were you?
I was like second AC, but also like grip, LX, like essentially whatever like Ryan and Kelly and yourself needed done, I was running and doing that on that film. Yeah.
That's wild. So take us from 2018, your first short film,
Yeah.
to now 2023.
Yeah.
You're kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say past short films, like
No, definitely not.
but have quite the canon.
For sure, yeah. I don't know. I mean, like it's been 5 years since that. I mean, like we shot Ride of the Night, last summer, and that was pretty crazy to get to like come back there after like I guess that would have been 4 years at that time had passed by, and
right.
like essentially like 4 years previous to that, my first ever short film, and then 4 years later, cinematographer with the team. And yeah, it was honestly, that was a pretty cool experience just to like get to go and be on that project and be like, oh, okay, like now I'm the guy behind the camera instead of like the lackey doing everything.
Yeah, I would say, you were a little bit more than just the guy behind the camera, as a producer on that project as well.
Yeah.
An interesting full circle in that it was actually based and seeded from that first story.
Totally.
Pretty cool that even our actor who played the Scarecrow
Right.
in the first one,
Yeah.
reprised a role.
Yeah.
It was
So wild.
Yeah. So we'll get in a little bit as to what you're doing these days,
Sure.
but I'm curious, like, what got you into film in the first place?
Well, like taking it all the way back when I was like 3 years old, my family actually made like short films growing up.
Really?
Yeah. So like my mom would like write these short films and then direct them, and then, and then so we made like 4 of those growing up. And
Were these things that she wrote and it was just your family that
it was
did
just
them?
the family. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just like they were all for my grandma's birthday, and so my grandma is the character who like doesn't want like a big present or anything like that, but if you like make her a card or like make her something that's like that you spent your like time and effort in, that's like way more valuable to her. And so my mom decided that we would make short films as a family growing up. So yeah, the first one was like something chicken lips, like yeah, and my mom played like some scientist doing experiments on chickens, and my dad was like the evil scientist that was trying to like steal her research, and we were these mutant children that had gone wrong within some science experiments. And yeah, pretty like somewhat like looking back now, just even saying it out loud now, is like somewhat elaborate stories within like what it is that we were trying to do, but just like basic execution with like Handycam and stuff like that. Just
So I'm guessing, because you and I are a little bit different in age, we're probably talking about high 8 or mini DV
no,
tapes.
like oh yeah, I think we started on mini DV tapes,
Right.
and then we got like an HD camera, elevated everything to the next
In
level.
one of the short films.
Yeah, I think like maybe like the 3rd or 4th short film we like transitioned onto
Wow.
that. Yeah.
So that's it. You talked about going back. Like, have you watched any of these films like in recent years?
Not like recently, but like
They
yeah,
still exist?
yeah, we've got a DVD copy for sure.
You know what? This could be a moment.
No,
I
there's
don't know.
no way.
Well, we
You're
should
not
have an
getting
insert.
access
I'm
to
gonna
the footage. It's not happening.
Who out there, put in the comments below, would like to see a young Noah Dorsey
my
on
gosh.
screen?
I'm not even like really speaking real words. I'm just like I have like the papers in front of me and like Cheerios on my high chair. I'm like abba dabba 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 dabba, and then my like sister and brother are just like playing characters along with me. Like my sister and brother are like much older than me, and so they're like 9 and 12 years older than me. So they're like they actually could like hold a conversation, and so at that time they would have been like 11 and 15, 11 or 12 and 15, yeah.
Oh, wow. And they're both peripherally in the business as well.
Yeah,
right?
within arts for sure. Yeah, my brother went to audio engineering, and then my sister is in theater. Yeah.
That's cool. So, in your family household, it sounds like there was a lot of support and there was a lot of
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, growing up, you're exposed to this sounds like hobbyist independent filmmaking.
Yeah.
Where does that get you in where you end up on the set of Scarecrow?
Right. Yeah. So to continue the story, when I was like 12 years old, YouTube happened, and so I was watching like these guys make like weekly short films, and they were making like VFX heavy short films. There's this channel called Freddie W, and they were in Corridor Digital, and they were making like short films every single week. And then they would like halfway through the week, they would release the behind the scenes video of everything that they were doing. Ooh. And so that was essentially the first time that I saw what it looked like to make a film, and what was actually like quite interesting to me was the like how much fun they were having, and like seeing like how everybody was like getting along and having like a great time, and like making something that's like getting seen by millions of people. Like pretty crazy to like see that. So that was like my second exposure to it, where it was like, okay, like this, like you get to just like hang out with your friends and make movies and then like get paid to do that. That's like a crazy thing. But I'm a pretty realist guy, and so I actually went to school for carpentry. And so I did that I did that in like the grade 12 year of high school. Did a dual credit program, and then the year I graduated high school, actually, that September the following year, I ended up rolling my car and breaking my neck. And so I was like not physically able to do carpentry anymore, and also was like, in recovery for 3 months with a neck brace. And so I essentially just pushed into my hobbies, and one of those being film. And so yeah, I like started learning how to use. I bought a camera that previous summer, a Canon 7D with a couple lenses, and lenses that I still use to this day actually. Yeah, and I ended up like going in. So rolled my car in September, and then recovery happened. Met a guy, started networking, started working for him for free. And then in that February, I went to India to film a documentary with my pastor. And so that was like my first intro to like really doing a film project, where I had done like some basic stuff in high school. But that's the intro, and then that would have been 2018. The beginning of 2018 would have been that first like project, and then I came back from that, edited that, went back to work in carpentry, and like my body wasn't having it, and like mentally, since my body wasn't able to do it, I was doing like a job of like someone who's like just starting out but getting paid like a second degree, like second level carpenter's wage. But I was just like sweeping houses because my body couldn't do the job anymore. And so like mentally and physically I was like getting beat up every day. And then 2 weeks into that last month of carpentry, I got a job offer from this guy who was shooting a documentary that I had been doing some free work for back before I left for India. and so I like took the opportunity and jumped on it, and you know, that kind of like spun me towards everything else after that. And so I met so that guy, his name's Sam McLaughlin, so he's like a documentary filmmaker. And then through him, I essentially just used his contacts and reached out to every single person that he knew. And one of those people was Ryan Tebbett. And so I started doing some like freelance, just like helping him as a general assist kind of guy. And then after that, Ryan and Kelly Veltri were having wings one night, and they were looking for like an employee, like another guy at the film factory at the time, and so he was like, hey, I've been like working with this guy Noah, like you should like grab an interview with him. And so literally the next day, Kelly gives me a ring, and I go in for a job interview with him, and hires me on the spot, and I started working at the film factory. And then Scarecrow happened a couple months later. So that's the journey from 3 years old to working with you guys on Scarecrow.
That's wild. I'm curious about this trip to India.
Sure, yeah.
So you went there with your pastor to film a documentary. What was the subject matter? And
so essentially, they're like a nonprofit organization that is like funding missionary efforts over there, and so they're like their biggest fear is like white saviorism, like saviorism, in like coming and bringing a bunch of white people. So they're actually like helping people in India reach their own communities. So like raising up like Indian pastors to reach their like local communities. So we were essentially for two reasons. One reason is like the CRA likes to know when you send lots of money to another country and make sure that it's actually being used properly. So that was like one of the reasons for our trip, for like my pastor to go down. And then the other reason was to create this documentary and essentially show the work that they're doing over there and raise funds for the continual work of
how
what
long
they
were you there for?
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of the organization?
It's MMF, Multi Missions Nation Foundation. Yeah.
Shout out to MMF.
Yeah.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
when you went there, were you camera guy?
I was the only guy. I was I was guy behind the camera, the audio, the everything, the like I don't know what I'm doing guy. I was like I had a Rode Smart Lav Go, and I would plug it into this iPhone that I bought just for the trip, and I would like record the audio on it, and like none of it worked. It was all bad.
Oh man!
And so I used my on-camera audio for the whole thing, and I don't know, it's the way it is. I mean, it was my first project and learned lots, and ended up like getting the opportunity to go like, I think it was a year later or like a year and a bit later to like go again with the same organization to India and shoot on my Blackmagic and do it properly this time.
Wow.
And that was really, really cool to like almost get to like show myself like the like growth curve within that year. So yeah, that was a sweet opportunity.
That's really cool. So after you came back with the first one, like, did it get distribution of any sort? Did you show it in your church?
Or? Those documentaries aren't able to go anywhere because like the Indian government like does not like Christians, and so if they found out who it was that were like the heads, they would probably be killed.
Wow. So was it dangerous in the trip itself?
Not necessarily. Like we were cognizant of like what we were going about, but like reality is as unfortunate as it is, but the reality is that like they're not going to kill like 2 white Canadians. That would be a really bad look.
Right,
so.
Right.
It wasn't dangerous for us, but it was like somewhat dangerous depending on where we were going for like our hosts, of who was like bringing us to all of these like spots and ministries.
So is it Christianity still very underground there?
Yeah, it's like they've had like large like festivals and stuff like that outside, like Like so like it wouldn't be somewhere like China is like completely different, where it's like that's like pretty gnarly there. Whereas like India, you in like in a more urban setting, it's more receptive to it. But like in villages, like that's like I mean they still have like the caste system in India, you know, like that's real in like in like in less urban areas, in rural areas, and so that's real down there for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're talking about casting stones.
No, I'm talking about like caste systems. So you've been born into a group of individuals, like in certain hierarchy, and like you don't take jobs that are below your caste of the family that you've been born into. So even if you're like, let's say you're like high up on the caste system, you could still be poor, but you're not able to take a job that would pay your bills because your caste doesn't take a job like that.
Wow.
Or you could be like really rich and be like a low caste system person. I don't know the whole of that, but
Interesting.
that's my like super basic knowledge of
Yeah,
it.
very different from our society.
Much different, yeah.
Was it a big culture shock when you got there?
Funny enough, it wasn't like crazy culture shock there. It was culture shock on the back end, where it was like I came back and I was like, wow, there's so many white people, and like
Yeah, fair enough.
it's just like I don't know. Traveling is like such a weird thing where you like, okay, like let's get in this metal tube and like go across the country or like wherever you're going, and then you get out, you kind of like do your thing, you hop back in this metal tube, and you come home and you're like, so like that happened, or like it's just it's kind of trippy in that sense where you kind of just get transported and like kind of get lucid because of like travel, and like your sleep patterns are all messed up, and then you kind of come home and then like you're just like back into normal life again. Which is
That's a really great way of putting it. I mean,
it's really weird.
coming back to film, one of the things that definitely you are celebrated for, and I can appreciate, is you've got a really great eye. Where did that come from?
Who knows?
Yeah. Self-trained?
Yeah, I mean like my auntie told me a story of this when I was like probably like 7 or 8. I was like, she does some photography stuff, and she was, I don't know, my parents, I think they were on like a weekend trip, and she like came to stay with me, and so we went like on a photo walk, and she like gave me her camera from time to time, and I would take photos, and then I had this idea for a photo, and I was trying to like direct her to like what this photo looked like, and I was like, this is like the image of it, and she reminded me of that story a little while back, and she was like, you had such a clear vision of what it is that you saw in your head, and I think for some reason I've just like kind of always had that like ability to see something within my mind's eye and like go ahead and try and achieve it.
Yeah, you are a visionary person. It's such a great thing to have, you know, on set or collaborate with. And yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. You know, I grew up around photography and composition in different ways, and it's something that I was raised to be very, very aware and appreciative of. So it's yeah, you're one of my favorite, you know, lens drawers.
Thank you.
Pretty cool.
Be kind.
Talking about inspiration, when you talk about your auntie, do you have any other people, or like either in the industry, out of the industry, that you draw upon?
You know, funny enough, I'm like probably the person that is like as like least film buff kind of guy. Like I'm like just worked with director on this project that we shot Grimace, and Paul like would like hit me with references, and I would be like, oh yeah, like no, I haven't seen that. It's like the joke became like, oh, like oh, oh yeah, okay, I can't even like really reference that movie because you're never going to have seen it. So, really rather unfortunate. But yeah, no, I am famous for not knowing movies and stuff like that. So yeah, I actually don't have like a ton of like people that I'm like drawing inspiration from often. I think it's a project by project basis, and whenever a project arises, then like going and like finding references for that project is like my thing. That like when I was doing cinematography, that was like the thing that I had to do. That was my research on that, because I don't have that plethora of knowledge of being like, oh, like, you know, this film from 1982 or this film from 2008. Like, I don't have those like right away's thought, you know.
Not everybody has to be a film buff to, you know, to get it done.
No,
Yes,
no,
right?
I guess not.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah.
So let's go to the plug-in portion of the episode.
Do you have like
recently,
a wacky like intro song or something for that? It's like the Batman like the plug.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there will be something that's all getting built in behind the scenes.
And then like the like logo comes like
yeah, and then we're gonna animate
and,
your eyebrows.
oh
to do
yeah,
this,
totally,
and,
yeah,
like, there'll be like
yeah.
little tinkles on the bones.
Perfect. I can't wait.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You've just recently wrapped on a short film called Grimace.
Yeah.
Anything else that we, as the audience, can be excited and look forward to coming out?
Yeah, Grimace will probably come out in like 2024 most likely. Hoping to have its festival run go kind of through all that year. And then, yeah, I have got like a pilot for a travel show that I shot a couple years ago in San Diego. We kind of toured from San Diego to Carmel, which is like kind of just below San Francisco. So I just literally received a new cut of that in my inbox this morning. So yeah, that, and then we shot a documentary in 2019, following like 3 people through their recovery process and addiction, and so that is almost finally done now. It's been a long journey of editing through all of that and bringing that story to life. So yeah, that project I'm hoping to tour around the whole Okanagan and do screenings for it, and then also like raise funds for the recovery houses that we were working with in that project, and then. Yeah, so that's kind of the hope with that project. But yeah, those are probably like the 3 projects I'm rather excited about and are currently in post-production, so they're like most likely to come out before everything else that I'm working on. Yeah.
I mean, so I'm aware of Grimace.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
seen bits and pieces leading up, and I'm very, very stoked on that.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out. Everybody will hopefully be able to post a link sometime in the future, either on a trailer or some information, or, you know, even maybe the film or where you can see it. The travel show. I'm curious.
Yeah.
So there's when I first moved out, I was 18, and I moved out with one of my best friends, and we got cable, and because where we grew up, you couldn't get cable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so we had a house, and
Are you Matt? Are you old or?
super old. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They
okay.
just.
I didn't know. You wouldn't be able to tell. Just so you know.
Oh yeah.
Brown nosing you for a second. Yeah.
I mean, hey, if anybody out there wants to cast me as a 27-year-old, you're crazy.
I've seen your headshot before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's recent. Like that was done within the last 15 years.
It's like your hair is like
yeah.
prom
Down
photo,
to here,
actually.
and no grays. Yeah. It's actually my graduation picture.
Yeah.
But we would watch the show every single night, Lonely Planet, and that was the first travel show that I remember watching. And kind of got in, and I think that was, a huge launching point for a lot of different travel shows. What is, fast forward, that was, I'll age myself here, that was 20 years ago. What's different about this travel show that's coming up?
Yeah, I think this project is it's not based around necessarily the destination that we're going to. It's based around the humans that are in the destination that we're going to, and it's about essentially the show is like you like strip away everything that like every barrier that you think you might have with an individual, and you get down to the core of who each of us are. And everybody desires a warm place to sleep, people that love them, human connection, these like basic things that we all crave. And at that point, like when you like strip it all away, you can still have a conversation with someone. Like you will be able to go somewhere around the world and still make a friend off the street, even if your beliefs aren't the same, or even if XYZ isn't the same. And so that's kind of the like basis of the travel show itself. And the idea is that you show a place by its people and by the scenery, just like by osmosis of being there, not by like, so like here is a famous destination that you should definitely check out, or the best spot to eat in town is X, Y, and Z. The travel show is based off of getting to know people and going on adventures with these individuals that we meet, essentially.
Wow, so that sounds like it's very much about the human fabric of environment.
Yeah, it was birthed out of like a time where like the world was divided in COVID, and like we were having all of these like seemingly very big things within our generations were unfolding in front of our eyes, and we were like, we need to show people what it's like to just like love, essentially.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to that, and we will post a link as soon as we get one for you folks. Listen, we're getting close on time here, so we have to go to the spilled the tea section of this.
Oh no! Where did it get spilled?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I want to hear. Do you have any crazy stories of being on set, or any divas you've worked with, or anything that was worth mentioning? You don't have to put names.
A diva, I don't know. I mean, like I could. This is the first story that pops into my head, so I can share it, I guess. So fast forward or rewind a couple of years ago, was like camera assisting heavily, working on a project. Just like somehow found my number. They're like from Vancouver/France. They were coming to film a commercial for Summerhill Winery. And these individuals did not know how to operate their gear. And the fact they got this gig is mind-blowing to me. Me and Nathan Peacock worked on this project together, and every single day we would come away and just be like, I don't understand. I can't. Is this happening? Like, so there was one day. This is like this specific story that popped into my head. This was like second day on the project. I think it was like a 3 or 4 day gig, and this guy had like a camcorder, but it was like a professional camcorder, like something like between like prosumer and news. Like it like landed right in the middle there. So it had like a servo zoom lens, and it like you could probably create good images with it if you knew how to use it. But it like these prosumer video cameras, they have like a full auto feature that you can just like, and there's a button for it, and you can just hit that button, and it just like, it auto exposes for you, it like focuses for you, it does everything for you. And so I was trying to show this guy how he could use his camera, because he would often shoot at like 10,000 shutter speed to counteract the bright sun. Which, like, if you know anything about like even basic photography or like film, you want to shoot like double your frame rate in the shutter speed. So like if you're shooting 24, you want to shoot like roughly like 48, 50 shutter speed. And so 10,000 like really probably isn't like, it's not really what you're looking for, you know, when you're talking about that. And so I kind of showed him, it was like, so you just like turn off the full auto feature. And the other messed up thing is that he had like built-in NDs in his camera too. So like he really didn't need to do everything that was happening. So I was like showed him, was like, turn this off, you just like lower this down to 50, and I locked it. And then there's these NDs on the side, and you just like press the button until it looks like properly exposed. Yeah, bing, bing, bing. Oh, that looks great. And so like literally like the lesson happens. And to be fair, like, yeah, the lesson happens, and then like 2 minutes later, he's outside shooting a shot. I'm like, oh, like that's a beautiful sunset. So I like go out to like take a look at the shot, and as I'm walking up, I just see this green dot on the side of the camera, which signifies that it's the full auto feature. And I come up, I look at the viewfinder, and I look at the data on the camera. I'm like, 10,000 shutter speed, 22 f-stop, like, just like, so I just walk back inside and sit down with Nathan. I'm like, all right, let's just finish this one out. That's it.
Sometimes you gotta, right?
Sometimes you just gotta get paid to do your job.
Yeah, sometimes you have to hitchhike, and you get picked up by somebody who's drunk in a truck that the muffler sounds like it's gonna fall off. And
but
you just pray.
They're gonna get you to the destination.
Hopefully.
Well, yeah, hopefully, and then you get out and you forget about, or try to forget about it.
You definitely do until right now.
But yeah, and then you know the scars like are deep inside, so they like never leave.
So much scar tissue.
Anyways, so yeah, I hope they never listen to this podcast, but
I hope they do, and I hope they are still using the full auto feature. They can provide a link for us, and we will show them. Yeah.
It was rough, man. Yeah, it was rough. But.
Okay, so the way that we close off these episodes is we give you 10 seconds to reference 5 movies that if there was a big, massive apocalypse and the only thing affected was
you already know I'm going to do bad at this from our previous conversation.
I love it. Cue the music. Okay. Time starts now.
So wait. I have 10 seconds from right now when you just said that? Or like?
Well, right when I say now.
Okay, so now, time. You just said now again, or?
This is now.
Now, okay, I would go with Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. I'd go with Hot Rod. I'd go with probably one of the Star Wars movies, like probably the 6th one. Or if you want to be a purist, the 3rd one. And then I'll probably go something like, can I do a TV series? Can I just
we'll let that slip in there.
I'll do Mindhunter from David Fincher, beautiful show. And then, because I don't know anything else Spider-Man. I don't even know what Spider-Man. First Spider-Man. But
for those of you during the apocalypse that do like Spider-Man, you can thank.
Right, yeah, you can come hang out with me, yeah.
He'll have it. He won't watch it with you.
No, but I'll definitely take your food for it. Or this. You'll trade me this. You like Star Wars,
you'll
right?
Be wearing that while you're watching it, because it'll be the apocalypse.
That's so depressing, yeah.
Well, thank you. Buddy, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Hope to have you back on and chat some more and do a follow-up. And good luck on all of the projects.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.